What's up, everybody? Hey, I'm back, and in this video I'm going to go over a boat that I've been trying to get my hands on for, I don't know, maybe 2 years now. This boat came out a few years back. It's called the Waka Steeze, and this one is the older generation, which comes available with the adjustable volume pod on the back. The newest version that the Waka guys kind of explained to me is the Waka Steeze Puffy Steeze, where instead of the volume pod back here, they've swelled the back up to make it more of a river runner type boat, but it still apparently can throw down. This version was the one I was most interested in because, for you guys that didn't know, Dagger made an attempt back in the mid-2000s to make an adjustable volume boat called the Dagger FX. And the Kingpin Icon, it just never kind of came together well. It was too heavy, it was too clunky, it just didn't. They tried to do a rotomolded pod on the FX, and then they did a thermoform kind of foam fill pod on the Kingpins, but neither one came out well. It was garbage. I hated it. I thought it was trash. I thought it was gimmicky. I thought it was a waste of money. It was like the boats didn't sell, they didn't do well, it was plagued by a lot of different issues. But one thing that I always wondered was, what if you did it on something like at the time, like a Dagger Mamba or GT or something? What if you had a stern pod that was very light that you could take on and off? For whatever reason, it has never been attempted until now. And the Waka Steeze was the first one to attempt it. Apparently they've abandoned it and made this an aftermarket accessory. But I'm gonna do a walkthrough video on my first impressions and kind of my thoughts and opinions on just the design wise. Let me move it a little better into frame here. Just my design wise of what I think about this boat just looking here. I'm going to do an on-water review later. I'm going to get a chance to paddle it. I'm going to do a pod installed and a pod not installed. I'll try to link to it. I'll put a link on the paddling of the boat, but right now I'm just going to do a design. I'm going to do a walkthrough of the pod, the boat, and the hull design. Looking at the boat right here, this is with the pod installed. You can see the extra volume here. Now, according to Waka, this boat comes in without the pod at 300 liters, which I don't know exactly what that is. I think it's, so without the pod, this thing comes in at 79 gallons, but with the pod installed, according to Waka, gives you a 95-gallon boat. So I'm very interested on whether that's true or not. So the length of the boat, they've got it at 260 or 274, which is 8 foot 9 inches. So this time I actually had some measurement tools and I measured the length of the boat, and I got it right at about 8 foot 10 and a half, almost 8 foot 11. So it's almost a 9 foot boat. And the discrepancies might be because of the resin, you know, the stern might have dropped a little more, but they've got it at 8 foot 10, 8 foot 9, but who knows, it is what it is. I don't think that matters that much, that little bit, so, you know, it's not that big a deal. So yeah, that's pretty much what I got to say about the overall specs of the boat. Looking at it, it's supposed to be the OG hull. So this is supposed to be the, damn mosquito. This is supposed to be, what is a mosquito doing out in mid-November? But anyway, they should be already gone by now. The design's supposed to be right there with the OG. So it's the OG style hull with just a Waka style deck. I'm going to start at the stern and work my way to the bow. So we'll start at the stern here. This is with the pod installed, by the way, so you can see. Puts the drain plug deep down in here, and the drain plug seems to be just those. It's a molded in top drain plug. These are not like, this is not drilled and tapped. And this is molded into the deck. This is molded into the boat. And molded in, I mean by what they do, they actually, in the mold, they have a little like threaded metal piece. So then that little metal piece is taken out, and that's how you get the drain plug. You get actually threaded into the drain, to the boat there. Going over, you see the extra volume up here. I like the deck styling on this. Some people thought this was ugly, but I really like this little deck styling here. I think that looks cool. Once again, plastic handles. I know we can go on and on about the fucking plastic handles. I'm not a fan of them. I feel like I can break them. I can move them around. And that's another thing. Look how thin this pod is. Look at that. That's super thin on that pod. But anyway, the handles. You know, come on, Waka. This is such an easy thing to do. Put an aftermarket accessory. Make it where you can order, you know, metal handles. That'd be easy to have that sized up as a aluminum strip. But you know, I'm not going to harp on those handles anymore. I've heard enough shit about these damn handles. I get it. You know, it's not designed to be in a pin situation and have your handles pull out. That screw head's going to pull right through that. I get it. It's okay. I'm not going to go on about the handles. Enough. I'm going to move on. So the actual design of the pod, similar. The boat kind of looks like the OG when it's just sitting here. Looks very similar to the OG to me, which is not a bad thing. The OG's a really good boat. If you haven't seen my OG review and on-water review and walkthrough, check that out because that boat's really good. I like that boat a lot. Moving on, I'm looking at the pod. The pod is installed with 4, it looks to be 30 mil, maybe number 6 screws with fender washers on top. It screws through this rotomolded pod into the boat. There's 4 inserts. I'll take that off here in a minute and I'll go over how we install that and how you can take that on and off. But yeah, looking at it, you know, the graphic, that is really cool. That's a cool name. I like the name. I like the graphic. It looks good. They do texture a lot. I noticed that everywhere this boat has a lot of like texturing on it, and that's why the graphics are all broken. And from a rotomolding standpoint, you know, look at the broken graphics. I can only imagine the molders trying to put this onto the mold while it's like and I feel a little like stickiness to it. So that's a new version. That's called a MIG 5. The adhesive is built into the mold, into the graphics. That's why I'm feeling that little stickiness on there. But yeah, you can see how broken all of these graphics are, and that's just poor quality. But then not to go with the molders, I can only imagine trying to like rub this on a textured surface. A lot of times manufacturer will polish the area where the MIGs are supposed to go, but for whatever reason they didn't do it. So that's what makes that really hard to get on there. It's kind of a really thick texture too, but yeah, you see it there. They put their serial number. What a weird spot for a serial number, huh? Look at that. That is a molded in serial number, and it's kind of crooked. You know, if I'm going to put it on there, at least have a marking for it. So these guys, and a marking in the mold, that's what these little, if you look, that little mark there, and a little mark right there. Those two little bumps, those aren't like imperfections in the mold. That's actually where they put the MIG on there, the molding graphic, and that's where they rub it. So that way they know they have it straight. They put a corner there and a corner there. Yeah, so that's what that little thing is right there. I mean, they look like they're in the right spot. They look good, but they're just like broken. And look, both sides have like cracks in the graphics. It's not right. And, you know, but, you know, not everything. The outfitting's the same that's in the OG. It's got the adjustable seat bolt. They have the hip pads. I'm still not a fan of these wraparound style hip pads. I'd much rather see a buckle. This one has the actual, they do like to adjust your hip pad. You put like this rotomold, you put this piece right here. So the hip pad has this little adjustable piece that's Velcro on one side, Velcroed on both sides, and it's Velcroed rivet there. It goes down in there like that. It gives you a little more hip pad. But yeah, that's how the hip pads are adjusted. And then, you know, it's basically that compressed foam. Not bad, not bad at all. Once again, it's that style of seat, and that screw is never tight. Why is that screw always loose? It's got a insert inside the seat here, and you adjust the seat by using this little tool. So they actually give you this little like change purse, so you can put, you know, nickels, dimes, condoms, whatever you Waka guys want to put in there. And this is for your pod stuff. You get a little number 4 Allen key. Then you get this little card here. This card, stoked you chose Waka Steeze, huh? This bag is made from recycled outdoor gear, and it's to keep your pod screws safe. Wow, we definitely need that. I do not see you carrying this pod around with you. This pod would probably be something that I'd put in there. Fitting the pod screws on gnarly stouts. Be sure to fit all screws by hands, blah, blah, blah. Rip your lines and be safe, Waka. Well, that's kind of cool. That's kind of neat, having that little card in there. Yeah, so you get that little thing, and I'll go ahead and I'll show you how to adjust. That right there will adjust. So this one number 4 Allen key adjusts about every bolt on the boat at all. So if I need to adjust the seat, I need this little thing. Same deal. It's got the big open session, the open part of the seat. And I kind of like this. This actually worked way better than I thought. You got a full throw rope in there. So I feel like a whole Nalgene bottle and a throw rope in this thing. It's got a tighten down thing right there. I actually like that. That works way better than I thought it would. One thing that I've seen a lot of people do online, I'd mentioned this online, I see people putting a bar running from here to apparently add structure. Look at the structure here. So you see how that bends down? Apparently guys have I've seen one guy put a PVC pipe run from here to here to add strength and structure up to that. Yeah, so that's definitely interesting that a lot of people are worried about that deck crushing on them, which is not that bad, but the reason is you cut that wall out. But having that wall cut out actually helps you get out of the boat better. If you got a wall that comes all the way to here, it's a little hard to get your foot out. I actually don't mind having the wall cut in like that. I'm less likely of worrying about this deck crushing on me than being pinned in this damn boat. Bulkhead, it's using some sort of, you know, they use the two bolt design. It's got that adjustable bulkhead there. As you bring it back, you separate it out. You see those little inserts right there. You can bring it back, and then that separates out. So the bulkhead's adjustable that way. Yeah, so it's got a bracket back here that holds the wall in place and all that. Up and down, so it's actually got, that's a smart idea to lock into. It locks in right there, the back band. The back band is ratcheted, which I'm a big fan of the ratchets. You know, if you've watched any of my other videos, I really like the ratchets. I'm a big fan of ratchets. They work, they're very nice adjusting. It uses this ratchet that's similar to the old. You have to adjust your ratchets. You do the adjustment back here. And the back band's nice and flat. You know, I really like this back band. It's got like some really kind of mini cell padding on it. Really nice seat. The seat is super comfortable. The seat is apparently used in other models. I've seen this seat before, and it's used amongst a lot of other boats. So I really like your Allen key. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna remove this pod. It's not bad. It's pretty simple to remove this. You basically take out these 4 screws. You got four Allen head screws right there. When you take them out, you put them in your little purse. And one thing that you know, you got to think about, like, if you got pinned and the only thing up is this stern, I don't know if I would trust being extracted out of a pin using this thing. Pretty much, if you pull, this thing was going to pop off. Those things would pull right through that right there. So obviously, you know, it's not something where I think that what would make this boat cool, if you think about it, you know, I was thinking, and it looks like we're getting a little bit of rain coming down. Hopefully I can finish this video before the rain hits too bad. It's pretty quick. It's pretty quick to adjust this, to take the pod off. So you're asking yourself, why would I even need this pod? Why would I use it? You know, I thought about this, and where would a pod like this come in handy? Not necessarily, let's say like you want to buy one boat and you're a video boater or a rescue boater, you would like use this pod when I'm like video boating or rescue boating, and then when I want to have more fun or just have the boat by myself, you know, if it's just a paddle on a day by yourself, you'd run it a half slice. So running a half slice would be more kind of playful and having more fun with it than running with the more like a creek boat. So yeah, that right there is pretty cool. I actually think that's actually a pretty good idea. You know, that's not a bad thing to have, is to be able to adjust the volume. So the concept there is kind of cool, I think. So you see with the pod off, so now according to Waka's website, now it's a 300-liter boat. I can't remember what that is, 79 gallons maybe? 79-gallon boat. and it's a 95-gallon boat with that. So, and I'm going to weigh this. So I'm going to get a weight. I'm going to get a weight on this pod, and I'm going to let you guys know. I've got a scale. I don't want to carry the scale over here or move the camera. I'm going to go weigh it, and I'll be right back. So I just weighed the pod. The pod weighs in at about 2.6 pounds, so it's like 2 pounds, 6 ounces of weight. So it's like, you might as well say close to 3 extra pounds added to your stern. So actually, probably what I would do is move my seat forward a little bit to counteract this this weight in the stern. So it'd be almost like packing a gear bag, extra paddle, whatever in the back of your stern. It would probably be about the same, except the load is dispersed a little more. So I'm really curious on how that's going to paddle. But yeah, I'm going to set the pod aside over here. I'm going to show you guys real quick. And this little thing, whatever this is. Make sure you put your little tool back in there. So yeah, you can see now, look at how much volume this thing has. So now it's like almost like a true half slice boat. So without that pod, now you're looking at almost a real half slice. So I'm curious how nice that stern's gonna do. And it's pretty solid. That's a wall holder that runs right there. So I like the styling on this back. So yeah, that's nice. Once again, you know, you can see, I kind of wish there was something to fill those inserts up, like they maybe gave a little dead screw or something. Maybe you could run some sort of small metric screw down inside there. What another weird spot for a serial number. Is that where that serial number is? Is there a serial number? Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much, that's over the pod storage. And looking at this thing, you know, I can see they had a thing. This must be for the handle. This is a spin weld. For you guys that don't know molding, what happens is you have to vent. So there's a vent tube that came out here, and they vent tube it here. This right here kind of looks like an afterthought. Like they had made the pod, then they was like, oh shit, we got to know how are we going to drain it if it gets water in it. And that right there is actually just a little Phillips head screw, and it's threaded directly in there. There's no insert or anything. So you'd take that out to apparently drain your pod out right there. But yeah, the thing's not super heavy. It's really, they went as light as they could possibly go on this thing. And I can tell you, so the guys from Waka reached out to me on my OG video, and I kind of trashed their plastic pretty good. So I've been told by the guys from Waka that they have updated their resin, and I can feel, this boat feels different. So this one feels different than the OG. It's got a little more flex to it. Yeah, so I can tell they've done some, this boat definitely feels different than the OG boat I was trying out. So they have, I believe them when they say we've updated our resin, because it feels like they have. Deck styling looks really good. Ratcheted back band, I done went over that. Back band, seat, I've done went over that thing right there. Looking at the hull, you look at the hull on this thing, it really does look like the OG. You know, it runs, that rail extends to about right there and starts fading out, but it's a super sharp rail that runs all the way, and it gets very sharp right in here. So that rail is very sharp, and it's a very sharp rail that runs all the way down. The thing goes down and it kind of kicks up a little bit in the tail. I don't know if you can see that kick up in this video, but yeah, it's really flat right here. It's got this Waka kind of like, it's a lifted type logo, which is, you know, kind of odd to me, but it's only lifted very slightly. So what that tells me is they've got some sort of little, that would be a negative in the mold. So they've got some sort of little negative stencil out here. And it's probably to try to add structure to the bottom of this area, right under the seat, to make that seat come up. It is getting a little dark out here. I cannot believe that a big, huge cloud just came over. And so this video might come out a little darker than what I want. So yeah, but that's pretty much it for the Waka. For the, and you look at the amount of Bowel Rocker. The amount of Bowel Rocker in this bow. I measured the Bowel Rocker, and you're looking at over 16 inches of Bowel Rocker. When you measure Bowel Rocker, you want to measure right from the parting line down to a flat surface. Obviously, the ground's probably a little bit off, so I might be off by, you know, a 1/16 of an inch or something, but it's right at about 16 to 17 inches of Bowel Rocker in this bow. So that's a lot of Bowel Rocker. And it's also very wide right here. So this thing comes out very wide and then stays wide, and then doesn't really taper back a lot. When you look at other half-slice boats, they taper back really a lot. Right here, this thing does not. It goes back, which makes me think it's going to definitely come out of drops really well. But I'm wondering how the playability is. I wonder how much freestyle and how much I can like stern squirt this thing and play around with it. Yeah, so you can take this, you can add it back to it pretty quickly. That's something you'd probably keep in your car. So I'm wondering, I'm really curious how this is. So I'm very excited to kind of get this out on the water, give it a whirl, and I appreciate you guys for watching. And that's pretty much it for my Waka Steeze walkthrough. Stay tuned, and you will see the on-water review of this boat. I'm going to try to do a pod lap and a podless lap. So yeah, stay tuned for that, and thanks for watching. See you next time.